A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. On that day Jesus went out of the house and sat down by the sea. Such large crowds gathered around him that he got into a boat and sat down. The whole crowd stood along the shore. He spoke to them at length in parables, saying, "A sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seed fell on the path, and birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky ground, where it had little soil. It sprang up at once because the soil was not deep, and when the sun rose it was scorched, and it withered for lack of roots. Some seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it. But some seed fell on rich soil and produced fruit, 100 or 60 or 30-fold. Whoever has ears ought to hear." The Gospel of the Lord. Fertile soil. Fertile soil only gives life because it has been wounded. Think about it. In order to make soil fertile, you must break it open and repeatedly separate it, smash it, toss it about. Only after this set period of chaos is the ground ready to receive life. And when placed inside that soft, broken ground, seeds begin to grow, many becoming strong, sturdy plants. Thus, any plant that's borne fruit was once a tiny seed placed inside broken, fertile soil. In the Gospel, Jesus describes fertile soil as the type that bears 100, 60, or 30-fold, as opposed to rocky and thorny soil, which is largely useless. Does this mean that Jesus blesses being fertile and consequently broken? Does Jesus bless being broken? Perhaps, but only in a sense that he has the power to bring good out of that brokenness, like healthy fruit out of fertile soil. For example, when we experience crushing sorrow in our lives, say through the death of a loved one, our hearts are broken like fertile soil. That person's life and absence changes us. It bears fruit in our lives. But you and I have a say in what type of fruit that will be. Understandably, some seeds sprout, but they're choked by bitterness and anger. That doesn't have to be the end of the story. The Lord can transform our grief into hope, empathy, and a stronger belief in the resurrection. Jesus promises as much. Good fruit grows from broken soil. Similarly, imagine a person who's been freed from the cycle of poverty. Often such people give back to their communities selflessly because they know the twinge of an empty stomach. Poverty tilled their lives, making their hearts fertile. But they came out of it stronger. It's a fascinating truth. Fertile soil only gives life because it has been wounded. So when has my life been tilled like fertile soil? What experience has made me feel broken? Has any good fruit come from it yet? Or am I still hoping? Jesus reminds us today to never give up. Now visualize this idea on a national level. America is fertile. The soul of our nation has been tilled by the coronavirus, tilled by isolation, tilled by culture wars, the toxicity of politics, hate speech, protests against systemic racism, job and economic insecurity, tilled by feelings of frustration across the board. These experiences have already changed us. We are different. Some say America is a house divided. It's beginning to break. But maybe that's a good thing. Jesus promises good fruit can come from that broken soil, meaning we have tremendous opportunities before us, opportunities to grow, to problem solve, opportunities to work together for real structural change, opportunities to break racial and political lines, to coexist as one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We should be optimistic about our future, as Americans always are, because we all have a hand in writing it. You and I will help determine what type of fruit is born in 2020 and beyond. So what would constructive dialogue between opposing sides sound like? What would the reform of systemic injustice or corruption look like? Most importantly, what does peace look like, and how do we get there? These are questions I don't claim to have an answer to, but I do believe that the path to peace begins when we acknowledge the fertility of the moment. People are frustrated, fatigued, and angry across the board. We want an end to the coronavirus. We want a healthy economy. We want our children to go to school without fear. We want to live in a safe and supportive nation. We want to bear good fruit. We will do that only by being the change we want to see, extending the peace we want to feel, speaking the words we need to hear, by living the golden rule, treating others the way that we want to be treated. Whoever has ears ought to hear, Jesus says. Our future is fertile. Our soil is rich. This is the land of opportunity. We are the seeds planted in the soil of America. Together we can build a healthy society. We can bear good fruit 100 or 60 or 30-fold. Why shouldn't it begin with us?